at least 3,852 children, in which 2,068 were girls, 1,784 were boys, were sexually abused across Pakistan in 2021. At least 223 children were aged between 0 to 5, 821 were aged between 6 to 10 years, and 1,322 were aged between 11 to 15, whereas 460 were aged between 16 to 18 years. There have been 1,028 cases in which the age of the victims was not mentioned. Sexual abuse in children is more common than we believe and more common than we are willing to accept. It happens in every other home, in most homes in Pakistan. Most of the abusers are relatives of the victims or their family members. They live close to us and have complete access to our homes. These are the people we call and tell the stories about our family. These are the people we share our pictures and videos with, without knowing their intentions until it is too late. As a citizen of this country and as a member of this very society, I am disgusted at the situation. As a man belonging to the same society, I am ashamed. Sometimes I just don't know what has happened to us. Saying that we have failed as a society is an understatement. We were to protect our women, children, and even men, with several reported child abuse cases every day, and Allah knows how many undocumented cases. I am afraid. I fear for the safety of our children around me. And I have asked myself a million times in the last few days that if I wanted, I have a children and bring them in the world of beasts. It is just an unfortunate and challenging position to be in, and for all of us, especially for minorities, for the country with added problems of forced conversation and more. In 2018, a 7-year-old girl, Zainab Ansari from Kasur, was raped and killed. A few days later, another Zainab, 2.5-year-old girl, was raped and then killed. These cases got international media coverage, led to protests, but more than that, it made everyone realize that Pakistan is headed towards dark. The sick minds of men in the country do not spare minor girls and boys, let alone grown men and women. Sexual assault in the country goes beyond what a normal mind can comprehend. It is not about men forcing themselves on women or men for sexual satisfaction. What satisfaction would one get for being sexual with a minor? As sad as it to know, it also makes us realize that in order to control child sexual abuse in the country, we should be addressing the problem and its roots. With the recent surge of rape cases and child abuse in Pakistan, people have started talking about the issue. It wasn't long ago when victims of rape and sexual assault remained silent and didn't speak about the victims and the abusers. I'm not saying a few cases that got media coverage are enough to make victims speak up. The physical and emotional trauma is far from comprehension for us. And since most abusers are relative, family members, or other close people, people find it very difficult to confide in anyone, let alone take legal actions. But the media coverage has gotten everyone talking. Parents know that they have to talk and protect their children. The threat is not only from the strangers, the threat is also from family members, close people, house help, and everyone else. People are talking about educating both parents and the children about mandatory safety measures. It still kills me that children as young as 5 years of age need to be careful about their safety, and while they all should be caring about learning new nursery rhymes and playing out with friends in the evening, unfortunately, we in Pakistan have failed to provide security to our women, men, and the children. After every case which is highlighted on the social media or the news, the public outrage is massive. People protest for several days and demand the abusers to receive the worst punishment. But on the other demands, the loudest voice asks for the public hanging of rapists. So potential rapists see the result of sexual abuse. The aim is to associate rape and sexual abuse with terrible punishment, as the belief that severe punishment will discourage sexual abuse is not backed up with any scientific research, not supported by any historical figures. It is an assumption and a heartfelt reaction for that crime. What we need to understand is that only negligible percentage of child abuse cases are reported and documented. Hundreds, even thousands of children are sexually abused in their homes, educational institutes, and in some other places. Most of the abusers are sometimes family members, including cousins, uncles, and even brothers or fathers. We have heard such an horrific stories of sexual assault from brothers and fathers, but the children were unable to speak just for the obvious reasons. Confiding in someone against one's loved one is probably one of the most difficult things to do, and asking for capital punishment for one's own sounds doubtful in a culture like Pakistan. The debate on punishment is related to post-crime that allows us to make the abusers pay for their crimes. It does not help us control the crime and avoid cases of sexual abuse in children. These discussions on punishment does not help in developing solutions to reduce the increasing number of child abuse in Pakistan. This approach to tracking child abuse is not effective because it does not protect the children. Since the number of cases does not adequately represent the extent and frequency of crime, the punishment shall fail to create a considerable impact. The country is paying attention to make effective laws and regulations related to sexual abuse. To be honest, it needs a lot of research and homework, especially in a culturally and traditionally tight countries just like Pakistan. And until we see a constitutional, judicial, and evidence-based change in the country, we must take the necessary measure to protect our children and ourselves from sexual abuse. The concept of good touch and bad touch should be introduced to the children at a very early stage, so that they are able to identify the presence of abnormal and unnatural love. It is important that we should create a safe space with our children so that they can come to us and tell us what problem they are facing. Instead of fearing that we won't believe them, we must make our children believe that despite the situation is, their parents and the family members will believe them and protect them and will stand with them. Never think your child is overly sensitive. Never trust anyone with your children, especially in closed and secluded places. Never. This video was a project by Shoaib Akhtar for the course Introduction to Broadcast Journalism, in which the project supervisor was Mr. Azhar Iqbal.